What is up everyone, welcome to episode 2 of Ride Let's Talk. This is a series in which we discuss anything under the sun, from topics about cars and motorcycles, all the way to current affairs and events. Now in the last episode we talked about COVID-19 vaccinations, so do check it out if you haven't already. In this episode, we're shifting our attention towards riding. Now in everything we do, whether it is our career, hobbies or passions, it all starts with a single step. For us riders, it was probably the first time we hopped on a motorcycle and realized the freedom and excitement that it brought. Everyone started somewhere. So in this episode, we'll be talking about taking the first steps towards being a motorcyclist in Singapore. So right, let's talk about getting your 2B license in Singapore. Now before we begin, let's talk about what a Class 2B license allows you to do. Now the Class 2B license is the first of 3 motorcycle licenses in Singapore, the other 2 being the Class 2A and Class 2. And it entitles you to ride motorcycles 200cc or less, or electric motorcycles 15 kilowatts or less. And to obtain it, you have to enroll in the Class 2B course provided at the 3 driving centres in Singapore, and pass a series of lessons and assessments to obtain your license. So, how do we enroll in the Class 2B course? Well, firstly, we have to know the eligibility criteria. You have to be 18 years old and above at the time of your application, and if you're above 65 years old or if you're pregnant, you have to have a doctor's letter certifying that you're fit for riding during your 2B course. Now to enroll, you have to pass the eyesight and colour blindness test because, well, you have to be able to see the traffic and the traffic lights. And for existing license holders, you have to have not more than 12 demerit points on your license. So you can enroll at the 3 driving centres in Singapore. They are firstly the Singapore Safety Driving Centre, or SSDC, which is located in the north at Woodlands, and they use the Honda CB190R over there. The second one is the Bukit Batok Driving Centre, or BBDC, which is located in the west at Bukit Batok. And they also use the Honda CB190R over there, but they also have the Honda MSX125, or the Grom. Now this is a different bike because it is smaller in size, lighter, and the seat height is lower as well, which allows riders who are slightly shorter to be able to reach the ground with their feet, and thereby making it easier to handle the bike. Now the third and final driving centre is the Comfort Delgro Driving Centre, or CDC, which is located in the east at Kaki Bukit, and they use the Yamaha YBR125 over there. So enrolling for your 2B course is a simple 2-step process. I'll be referring to CDC because it is where I took my Class 2B, but the process is generally the same at all driving centres. Now all you have to do is to go online to www.cdc.com.sg/course/class-2B, and you just need to fill in the forms and follow the steps. After that, step 2 is to head down to the driving centre to take your eyesight test and also to collect your learner's booklet. After registration, you will get a student account to access the online portal. This is where you book your lessons and your tests, and they are paid for using a credit system. So firstly, you have to top up the account with money first. So looking at the big picture, there are 7 tests and courses you need to clear to obtain your license. The first one is the basic theory test, which consists of 50 questions and of which you have to answer at least 45 questions correctly. Once you pass your PTT, you'll be able to obtain your provisional driving license, which allows you to ride on public roads. So if you're riding in the driving centre circuit, you do not need a PDL actually. Now this is an important point to note for when we are talking about the curriculum flow later, and it will save you a lot of time. So the second one is the riding theory test, or RTT. Similar to the BTT, it consists of 50 questions, of which you also have to answer 45 questions correctly. And along with completing your simulator course and your defensive riding course, this allows you to book for your traffic police test, or TP test. Now number 3 is the defensive riding course. This is a 3-lesson course and there is no test to it. All you have to do is just to attend the lessons, but I feel that it's important to pay attention as it imparts useful information on how to be a safer rider as well. Now number 4 is the simulator course. Similar to the defensive riding course, it is also 3 lessons and there are no tests as well. In this course, you will use the simulator and it gives you a variety of traffic scenarios such as accidents and collisions. And this allows you to experience them without actually getting involved in one. Now number 5 is the 8 practical lessons. Lessons 1 to 5 are conducted inside the circuit, and in there you will learn the circuit courses and test route such as the slope, the S course, the crank course, the narrow plank, the slalom and the e-brake. Lessons 6 to 8 are on the public roads where you will be riding along the TP test route. So for lessons 5 and 8, they are internal evaluations which are like mock tests. and they prepare you for either going on the road in lesson 5 or the actual TP test in lesson 8. So you move on to the next lesson based on the instructor's assessment. They are usually quite fair, and it's really based on if you're ready to learn the next step. So if you pass, you can book the next lesson, and if you fail, unfortunately, you will have to retake the lesson up. So you can book multiple practicals of the same lesson, but you cannot book, for example, lesson 2 and lesson 3 without clearing lesson 2 first. Now number 6 is the traffic police test as well. So there are two components to the TP test. Firstly, the circuit segment, which you are tested on your courses, and the road segment, in which you are tested on the route. So to pass your TP test, you have to accumulate no more than 20 demerit points for both components and no immediate failures. Now if you pass your TP test, congratulations, you're officially a qualified rider. But just before you head out on the roads, you have to go through the 7th and final course, which is the Expressway Familiarization course, or EFR. Now this is a guided riding course to expose you to the higher traffic speeds on the expressway. And since you're officially a qualified rider, you'll be able to ride up to speeds of 80 to 90 km per hour, depending on the speed limit of the expressway and the instructor leading your group. So next up, we'll be talking about the lesson flow. Now there are two sides to this. Firstly, the theory side, and as well as the practical side. So for the theory side, firstly, in preparation for your BTT, you have to attend 2 basic theory lessons, and thereafter sit for a BTT internal evaluation, or your mock test. So once you pass that, you can book your BTT. Now at the same time, you are able to take your practical lessons 1 to 5, which are conducted inside the circuit, so there's no need for a PDL actually. So what this means is that you can take your practical lessons 1 to 5 before you pass your BTT, and this will save you a lot of time in getting your 2B license. So once you pass your BTT, you'll be able to apply for your PDL at eservices.police.gov.sg. And once you obtain it, you can move on to practical lessons 6 to 8, which are conducted on the public roads. Now at the same time, you'll have to attend your defensive riding course and your simulator course as well. Now the simulator course consists of 3 modules, and you can start attending it after 5 lesson attempts and not after lesson 5. Now most importantly, you will also have to attend your riding theory lessons in preparation for your RTT. And similar to the BTT, it consists of 2 lessons and an internal evaluation as well. So after you pass the internal evaluation, you can book your RTT, and once you pass it along with your practical lesson 8, you will be able to book for your TP test. So next up, all that's left for you to do is to take your traffic police test, pass it, go for the expressway familiarization course, and there you go, you have your class 2B license. So as it seems, the most important thing in the entire course is the TP test itself. So what are you tested on? Now there are a whole slew of assessment criteria, from moving off and stopping, to forward driving, to junctions, safety checks, signalling, and general riding. So I've gone ahead and put up a picture of my own learner's booklet in which you would be able to find the assessment criteria. But just to note, this is just to give a general idea, as I took my license 2 years ago in 2019. Now I don't think the criteria may have changed much, but it may have changed since then, so it's good to get updated information as well. But not to worry, as you go through the course, you'll be familiarized with what to look out for during your TP test as well. So during the TP test, there are 2 components. Firstly, the circuit segment, and also the road segment. Now in the circuit segment, there are 5 courses for you. Firstly, the slope. Secondly, the hazard course, followed by the narrow plank, the slalom, and then finally the emergency brake. So number 1 is the slope. In this course, you will have to accelerate up from a stop without rolling back more than 0.5 meters. And this involves controlling your clutch, your throttle, and your rear brake. And this is the course that I feel has the most applications outside of the circuit, as it is commonly used, for example, when you're going up a slope at a shopping mall car park. So number 2 is the hazard course, that consists of 2 segments, which are the figure of 8 and the crank course. Now for the figure of 8, you have to complete it under 13 seconds, but usually we practice for 11 seconds to avoid any demerit points. Now the second one is the crank course, and you have to complete it under 8 seconds, but usually 6 seconds. So these 2 courses involve your control of your rear brake to either increase or decrease your turning radius. So if you apply more rear brake, you'll be able to turn sharper. And this I feel is commonly used when you are going up, for example, spiral slopes, where you have to maintain a constant throttle while turning bends with an uneven curvature. So the third course is the narrow plank, and as the name suggests, you have to keep your bike rolling on a straight narrow plank at a low speed for a set amount of time. Now during the 2B test, you have to do this for at least 3 seconds, but usually we practice for 6 seconds. So this involves modulating your clutch and your rear brake, which allows you to keep your bike upright and balanced. even at low speeds where it wants to fall over. The fourth course is the slalom, which consists of 5 cones lined in a straight row with gaps in between them, and you have to maneuver your bike through them like a snake. So you have to complete this course under 8 seconds, but usually we practice for 6 seconds. So like the hazard course, this involves controlling your rear brake, which allows you to adjust your turning radius. And the fifth and final course is the emergency brake. So in this station, you will need to accelerate up from a stop to a speed of 35 km per hour, and that's probably the fastest you ever go while learning. And apply your emergency brake after a point and stop within a stipulated distance. Now this is usually before the first line, which is red in colour. So this course teaches you the techniques to come to a complete stop promptly and safely in the event of a sudden emergency where you have to stop very suddenly. So moving on to the road segment, we are here at Kaki Bukit, where I'll be giving you a ride through of the TP test route. Upon leaving the circuit, you will exit from here and turn right onto the road. You will then head down to the first traffic junction at a speed about 30 to 40 km per hour. Once you reach the junction, remember to turn on your right signal. As you can see in this scenario, if you stop with the curb to your right side, you will need to check away from the curb. In this case, that will be checking back on your left. When you are at a stop, you will need to keep all 4 fingers on the front brake, clutch in at first gear, left foot on the ground and right foot on the rear brake pedal. Now that you have moved away from the curb, you will need to check back on your left side before moving off. Check back to your right once again before commencing a right turn and turn into the rightmost lane. After this, you will need to filter to the leftmost lane. Signal to the left, check your mirror to see if it's clear, check your left blind spot and gradually filter into the left lane. In short, signal, mirror, blind spot change. You can keep your left signal on as you are going to turn left into the filter lane. Before you commence your turn, check your left blind spot and turn in. Look out for any pedestrians crossing the zebra crossing. If you find that there is no space for you after the zebra crossing, wait behind the stop line first. Check back right before you move on, and because you are in a turn, I personally prefer to check back left too. For the filter lane, you will need to wait for the leftmost 2 lanes to be clear before filtering in. So if you see a car making a U-turn, always assume it's going to turn right and hold first. Before you move off, check back right and left and filter into the leftmost lane. After this, filter into the second leftmost lane as the lane you were on would have led you to the expressway. Here, we will follow the keep left route all the way down to the next junction, where we will do our U-turn. Somewhere after the overhead bridge, you can slowly filter to the rightmost lane. Before you enter the U-turn lane, remember to check your right blind spot as well. When turning right here, you will form up with 2 rows with the first bike on the right side, followed by the second bike on the left side and the third bike on the right side behind the first bike, and so on so forth. When you're doing your U-turn, it is a good gauge to keep your bike between the 2 pedestrian crossing lines to prevent yourself from turning too sharp or too wide. If you formed up on the right side, remember the curb is on your right, so you need to check back on the left side before moving off. When the traffic light turns green, you may inch up past the curb so that you're able to see the traffic better. Once your shoulders are past the curb, you can check back right from now on. However, as you can see, there are cars turning into the pocket as well, and your view may be obstructed. If you are ever unsure, just wait first. There will be a green turning arrow in your favour. So before you commence your U-turn, check back right and control your clutch and rear brake to help you execute your U-turn. You will turn into the middle lane. Once you are past the filter lane on your left, you will need to follow the keep left rule again by filtering into the leftmost lane. Signal, mirror, blind spot change. Again, somewhere around the overhead bridge, you can start filtering to the rightmost lane. However, this time we are using the shared turning lane, which is the second lane from the right. So, before you enter the right turn pocket, check your right blind spot. And as you leave the right turn pocket where your turning becomes sharper, check your right blind spot again. This is because your trajectory has changed. With this right turn, you will go straight into the leftmost lane heading back to CDC. Upon reaching this junction, remember to turn on your left signal. If there are cars in front of you, it may be likely that the traffic light will turn red before you're able to make the turn, so do be prepared to stop. Once the traffic light turns green, check back right and left and check if there are any pedestrians crossing. When all clear, you can make your left turn. Here, you will make your way back to the driving center where after this slip road, you will signal left, blind spot left and turn into the driving center. And that is all for your TP test route. So now that we've got the curriculum out of the way, we're going to talk about how much does it actually cost to get your 2B license. Now I've gone ahead and done the math so that you don't have to, and these are the motorcycle course fees at CDC as of January 2021. The first cost is the enrollment fee, which is $181.42, and this covers your 1-year learner account, your refundable deposit, your eyesight test, and your digital photograph. The second one is the BTT and RTT, which costs a total of $25.84. So this consists of firstly your internal evaluation for off-peak sessions, which are on weekdays before 6:15 PM. And since you have two of these, one for your BTT and RTT, they will cost a total of $12.84 at $6.42 per internal evaluation. And the second component is the test itself, which is $6.50 a test, which adds up to a total of $13. So the third component is the simulator cost, and at $26.54 per lesson, they will add up to a total of $79.62 because you have to attend 3 of them. And the fourth component is the practical lessons, which will make up the bulk of your Class 2B license costs. So assuming you pass all lessons within your first attempt and you go for the off-peak sessions on weekdays before 4:15 PM, they will cost a total of $327.42, which leads to the fifth component, the traffic police test, which costs about $81.15. So the first component is your practical test vehicle and warmer, which costs $48.15. And the second component is the practical test itself, which costs $33. And once you pass the TP test, the final component is the expressway familiarization cost, which is about $36.38. So minimally, you have to spend $731.83, but I would recommend setting aside about $1,000 to $1,500 for maybe repeat practical lessons, more revision lessons, and other miscellaneous costs. So to wrap up, getting a 2B license is the first step towards your amazing adventure on 2 wheels. And the feeling you get when you finally pass that test and get your license is truly unforgettable. It is really gratifying, and what's more, it doesn't stop there. As you move along and upgrade your license to a Class 2A and eventually a Class 2, you'll be exposed to many different bikes and many types of riding, from enduro to touring to track, or even just city riding, you know. And many a times you see other riders on the road with the big bikes like the 1250 GS or the Harleys or the S1000 RRs, and you think, whoa, that's so cool, man. And I say this because I feel it too, riding a 2B bike, having gotten my 2A license and working towards my Class 2 license. But we all started from the same place, a Class 2B license for a motorbike under 200cc. So yes, you may find the curriculum a bit daunting with all the procedures to adhere to. Personally myself, I found it pretty overwhelming as well. But as with everything, we only get better with practice. And at the end of the day, it is definitely worth it. And it's only the beginning. Alright, so that's all for today's episode of Right Let's Talk. If you enjoy our content and there's more to come, give us some love by liking the video and sharing with us your journey to getting your 2B license down below in the comments. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification bell to know when we drop a new episode. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more content. Take care and ride safe for now. Bye!